our panel members for being here and for your opening statements. I'm going to ask a number of questions and then offer opportunities for the other members of the committee to ask some questions. I want to just start with Ms. Lee. I want to follow up on something you mentioned in your opening statement, and you outlined some successful examples of small businesses with whom you're working through Langley, one of whom is here. And in fact, you mentioned that Langley had exceeded its small business target, I think you said, over the last 9 years in a row, and I'm impressed to hear that. And I was hoping you would maybe provide us with a little bit more detail and some, perhaps some examples that we can use and apply to others, and tell us kind of how you did that, or if there are particular advantages at Langley or things that you've done that helped you surpass that goal. What might we learn from your example?
Thank you, Chairman. I'd be happy to. So for us, small business is a contact sport. And we have a small business office located at Langley that does significant marketing and outreach. They counsel small businesses. They provide things like an automatic email system that is actually a NASA system, such that companies can provide their area of expertise or their core competency and automatically get updates from FESBID opportunities on either government-wide or NASA procurements. But we also do a host of other things. We do conferences, expos, market research to ensure we know what companies are out there and what they're providing. And then regionally, we do a lot of things. Overall, in our procurement, 63% of our procurements, this is not just small business, are for funds that are for work performed in Hampton Roads. And so regionally, we have a Hampton Roads Technology Council. We have an aerospace day where we match local businesses with NASA, and together we go up to the General Assembly and we talk about the aerospace community and what we bring to the Commonwealth. So we raise awareness in that way for our small businesses. We have Texpos where we invite industry in so that they can see the areas of work that NASA is interested in. And then we have open houses as well. And then a couple of things that are a little bit unique to NASA Langley. We have things called Tech Fusion and Tech Infusion workshops. Now, Tech Fusion workshops are between our prime contractors and SBIR, Small Business Innovative Research Proposal winners, such that those prime contractors can be made aware of those innovations. And then we target our prime contractors with additional goals beyond our own goals. So we ask them, some of them upwards of 30% goals, so goals just like ours that they have to meet. And so it's incumbent upon them to understand what our small businesses are doing. And then likewise, we have many of our researchers that may not be aware of the contributions small businesses can make. So we have what are called Tech Infusion workshops, where we bring NASA program folks together with the SBIR community so that they can share and learn about each other's needs and contributions that they can make. So a host of things that we do. It's not any one answer that has made us successful, but it's continuing to get out there and understand the community and then set stretch goals for ourselves that's made us successful.
Okay, great. Well, appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I'd like to follow that up by a question to Mr. Underwood. Wallops has been doing a lot of good work, and I wanted to note that next year a Taurus 2 rocket will launch to supply the International Space Station, noting also that there are additional commercial launch opportunities developing. Can you please just give me some thoughts on where you see that going and how that will affect the local small business community?
Yeah, certainly. It's quite exciting, actually, for us. And we kind of view it as a major landscape changing, both figuratively as well as literally, in what's happening at Wallops, because over the next year and a half, we have at least 40 and as much as perhaps $90-some million worth of construction activities that we're going to have to undertake in order to create the infrastructure to accommodate Orbital Sciences Corporation's needs. Some of that will be from federal investments, and some will actually be through the Commonwealth of Virginia's investments in their infrastructure through our commercial spaceport. All of us in this exercise will be utilizing small businesses to one degree or another to help with that, with those construction activities. And then along with that are obviously beyond the facilities, the brick and mortar aspects of accommodating the new vehicle and the growth in our launch activities. We're actually going to have Orbital Sciences Corporation bringing a large contingent of new employees to the area, of which they're going to be needing a lot of services themselves for purely on the commercial side of what's going to happen. They're going to need workforce for engineers and laborers. They're also going to be needing component parts, all of which, all of these opportunities most easily or most effectively are provided by the local economy as opposed to having to bring them in from outside. So the first place that all of us tend to look is in our own backyards for these opportunities. So I think the combination of what the federal government is going to be doing on the NASA side, as well as what the state, Commonwealth, Virginia, as well as what Orbital Sciences themselves are going to be doing, are going to create an enormous amount of opportunities over the next year. It's quite exciting at Wallops.
Have you found that finding local small businesses locally in the community has been a challenge in terms of local small business community makeup, or is that something that's worked out well?
It's kind of a constant supply and demand juggle, which is if there aren't the opportunities, then it takes a while for the companies to react to when they do show up. So in which cases, many of us at Wallops, both on the commercial side and the government side, are working with organizations such as the local community colleges and things like that to make sure that we're waking them up to the opportunities that are forthcoming, so that we hopefully have a workforce that is interested in the local folks coming out of the high schools go into areas where we can keep them at home and actually employ that. So that's one particular aspect of what we're doing, working with the local community colleges and universities to be aware of the opportunities that are coming. But yeah, in many cases, the growth happens faster than we can accommodate it, so we have to look elsewhere. But that's not our first means of searching.
Okay, thank you. I want to ask both Dr. Savold and Mr. Suber, you mentioned that your businesses are 8A businesses, and I wanted to actually take the opportunity just to ask you if you could comment on how the program has been helpful in terms of opening doors specifically for your companies, but also if there are any challenges that you've had with the program, and if there are things that you would like us to know in terms of how we might make the programs work better, or anything that you would change about it. And I'll offer the opportunity to both of you to comment.
The program was absolutely essential.
Can you get the mic, please? Thank you.
The program was absolutely essential for us in the beginning when we were like 5 people. That means like 3 income-generating people and 2 on overhead. SBA helped us tremendously in getting on the 8A program. And once we were on the 8A program, we were more attractive to the prime contractors as a teaming partner. Small businesses, micro businesses, like less than 10 people, have really no way of interacting directly with NASA or other federal labs. It's typically as a subcontractor, and there it's more like throwing darts. It's very difficult making yourself attractive for a prime contractor, and it's hard to pick the right one if you have a choice. So if the prime contractor loses, then the prime contractor usually loses not because of the sub not performing well or not having a great background. It's based on the qualification of the prime. Mm-hmm. So the performance of the sub is not really a big issue there in the potential survival or demise of the small business. Yes, the SBA program was extremely helpful in the beginning, and without it, we would probably not have survived.
Like Dr. Walsh had said, it also made us more attractive as well. Some of the challenges that we face were, I guess, not similar to the service side of it, but bonding was an issue. We know that anything over the 35 mark, you need a payment bond, and anything over 100,000 requires a performance and a payment bond, which is directly tied back to the capital of the company. And so many of times, if personally you as the individual owner or group of owners may not have all of the capital necessary to get the appropriate bonding, you can have all of the capabilities to service a contract, but not be able to be awarded it because of the bonding. The other piece of the challenge, I would say, is getting to the right person that could help you find or get that contract of a base where you don't already have a relationship. For Langley, for Nassau Wallops, for all of the bases that I mentioned, we had previous relationships where we knew someone where we could get past the gate, get in the door, talk to the right people. That seems to be a challenge. So if we had an opportunity, not every, you can't always get to the right folks, like Ms. Lee said, at some forum or something like that. If there was another way that you can get to the right person, that would be helpful. But it was critical to our success as well.
Great. And I want to offer actually an opportunity generally for any of the three of you, the business owners here, to provide any more comments on the contracting process, and if there are other things that you think particularly work well or barriers that you have identified that make it difficult for you. I want to offer an opportunity for anyone to add additional comments on things that they think we ought to know.
Well, one of the things that's a little bit different for the agricultural community from, say, NASA or Department of Energy is that there are not a lot of technology contracts that are awarded to do discovery or development work. The only funding that comes in that direction tends to be in the form of competitive grants. And those are very, very difficult. I mentioned one issue with the matching process, but there are other elements that make small businesses be disadvantaged in competing for those grant systems that relate to, for example, in the loan guarantee programs that require that you have a money center bank co-sponsor your application with a loan guarantee program, where we've been able to put together a consortium of community banks who are willing to help us with the project. The USDA requires that a large money center bank be, with the experience of a similar size project, be the lender of record. And that means that small community companies and banks can't build the capacity to go after the larger kinds of opportunities. So that's another problem for small businesses within the agricultural sector.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll yield to Mr. Schock.
I'm just curious, for the benefit of the committee, if you can talk a little bit more